What type of projects are people doing on Zoom these days? What are you hosting? If you want to share with the group, go ahead. Anyone?
Well,
Family
this
reunion.
is Carolyn.
Go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay, I want to host a Zoom for my family. We tried one, but I didn't do it myself. And so we tried Duo. So, but yeah, I want to learn how to do it myself so that I can host the next Zoom meeting.
All right, yeah. I see someone in chat says they're going to have a virtual baby shower. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you're going to have a big event, figure out who in your circle of family and friends are going to be challenged. And I would meet ahead of time with them, just have a little, little chat with them and get them comfortable getting in and out of Zoom. So this way, when the big event comes, you're not, consumed trying to help them, get into Zoom and that type of stuff, get those out, your little kinks out of the way. Because it'll make it a lot easier. Because otherwise, it'll just be a big support call. So do a little game night or just do something, an excuse to get together and see if you can get them comfortable. All right.
The easy part for someone who's just, participating, all you got to do is get on there and press that button.
Exactly. You click the link, you're in. It's pretty easy. It's a whole other ball game when you're hosting.
Yeah, I love the part where I can just press the button.
Press the button, in you go.
I know I got to do better than that.
Yeah, it's a little more responsibility when you're the host. That's for sure. All right. Well, let's get started because we do have a lot to talk about today because some people do have some plans that they're getting ready to implement here. So we better hopefully get you guys on the right track. All right. So let's get started here. I want to welcome you to Get Set Up. We're seniors teaching seniors about technology. We have social hours and all types of stuff like that. Today's class, it is about how to schedule and host Zoom meetings. I encourage you to take the beginner's class if you're a real beginner in Zoom, so you can get the basics of Zoom. This class is only going to be about scheduling and hosting Zoom sessions. That's what we will be talking about. My name is Donna. I was in the IT industry for over 30 years. I enjoy helping people get over their fears of technology. And this session today is going to be recorded. And if you wish to get a copy of the recording, you can email help@getsetup.io. And we have a live stream. So hello to people out there in live stream world. Wherever you are, welcome. Come register and come join us so we get to know you. And we're not paid to promote Zoom in any way. This is strictly for training. So our agenda today, we're going to talk about how to schedule and host Zoom meetings, how to invite others into your meeting, and then how to share out your screens and your content when you're as a host, when you want to present. And I just asked a little earlier, other people having meetings that they're getting ready to host. I know we have a virtual baby shower coming up. We have family gatherings. Anyone have anything else they'd like to share that they're doing? No? All right. Let's get in here then. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is how we're going to present this, because there's a lot to talk about with Zoom when you're hosting. So it's like a ladder. The first rung, we're going to talk about getting together with families and friends. Very informal. You're not even going to put it on a schedule. This is going to just be instant meetings with people you know in your life. Could be a result of a phone call and you just say, hey, let's get together in Zoom in a couple hours. And that's all you do. It never gets put in the system. The next level, number 2 level, is going to be, maybe you're working on the internet. You're a life coach, a teacher, a counselor, and you're meeting with people you don't know that well. Now, how do you meet instantly with people like that? How would one do that? And then the last rung is where we are planning ahead. We are scheduling the meetings and we're putting them on calendars. So we're going to go through the whole gamut of, how a life of a Zoom host would work out here. So you have some ideas on how you might use Zoom in your life. All right. So the first thing first, and it was someone just made a comment about that too, about, when you're a participant going into Zoom classes, you may have noticed that, you just click on the link and you go in, right? Well, if you're going to host, you do need a hosting account with Zoom. So you have to go to zoom.us. There is a plans and pricing tab. Click on that, and that's where you can find all the plans that Zoom has. They have a free plan. You can host up to 100 people. The group meetings are limited to 40 minutes. What that means is they'll probably cut you off. Sometimes they're in a good mood and they give you extra time. Sometimes they're not, and you do get cut off after 40 minutes. The key here is to make sure people are aware that if they get cut off, all they have to do is click on the link to get right back into the meeting. And you have unlimited time with you and one other person. And if you do have a practice or something like that, you might want to think of getting the pro account, because that will lift that 40-minute limit on your meetings. So this is the first thing you need to do. You definitely need to get your account, get your ID, your login, and get onto Zoom here so that you can schedule your meetings. Anyone have any questions about that?
Yes,
right.
Donna, will you give that website again?
It's zoom.us.
Zoom.us.
US.
And that's it? Just
that's
zoom.us, not
zoom.us. Nope, just zoom.us, and then go to plans and pricing.
Okay.
And they have a very informative website. There's training and videos and stuff you can look around on, all about Zoom on their website.
If you use the free version and you get cut off, do you just get back on, reschedule the meeting again and get back on?
Just start the meeting again.
Start it again.
Yeah. Oh. However you started it, just start it again.
Oh.
And we'll talk about starting. How do you start the meeting too? We'll cover that.
Okay, thank you. All
right. So let's start out. You got your account. Now let's start with, again, family and friends. I'm going to go into my account. And when you get into your Zoom account, on the left side of the screen, you're going to see a menu. You're going to go to meetings. And I want to talk about, it'll have upcoming previous meetings. I want to talk about the personal room and what that is. When you get your account with Zoom, everyone gets a personal room. It's your own meeting room. It has its own ID, its own link. It never changes, which is wonderful, because you can meet anytime with family and friends. You don't have to, worry about, the numbers changing on you all the time. It stays the same. Terrible for posting on the internet, though. Don't do that, because it is tied to your account. If someone from the outside were to get your link or ID, then they're going to be trying to come into your meetings, and then you'll have to call Zoom and might have to redo your account or something like that. So I would keep the personal room with your close circle of friends. So this is what it looks like. It's just like any other meeting in Zoom. It can be, you can put it on a calendar if you want to. You can schedule it that way. You can edit it. The default, it has a waiting room. You've been in them. You were in one today when you're coming into the meeting. There was a waiting room. It just says waiting for the host to let you in. And as a host, what happens, you get a little pop-up saying, 3 people are in the waiting room, and you can just click a little admit all button, or you can admit them individually, whatever, to let them into the meeting. So that's, these are the default settings that they have here. You can start it. There's a big blue start button. You may have seen this in the bottom part of the screen. You could start the meeting from here if you want to. Copy invitation. If I click on this button, it shows you what the invite is. You've got the link, the ID. Now, I'm on a paid account, so I get these phone numbers that people can dial in if, say, they want to listen to from their car, or maybe Windows just updated and now audio doesn't work on their laptop, so they need to dial in. Or they don't have any internet access and they're going to just dial in by phone. you have a paid account, you get these. So think about that too, how you're going to use Zoom. Like if you have a business or something, you might want to think of getting the paid account so people have access to these phone numbers to get into your calls. So if you have a free account, you're not going to have this part here. You're just going to have this part here. Now, if I click on this blue copy meeting invitation, it's going to copy it. Copy to clipboard. What does that mean? On all tech devices, mobile, laptop, whatever you have. Clipboard is just a little temporary space of memory. So what it did is it just copied all this, put it up in memory, and it's waiting for me to paste it somewhere. I'm going to paste it maybe in an email. Maybe I'm on a mobile device. I'm going to paste it into a text. So it's waiting for me to do that. And just to show you what this looks like, I'm going to open up Notepad. And I'm just going to do a control. I'm on a Windows, so it's a Control V as in Victor. Control V, that's paste. So I could have done that into an email. If I'm on a mobile, I would, of course, press down with my finger and tap on paste. If you're on a Mac, it's Command V, I believe. So that's all it is. This is just a way to send the information somewhere. So if you have your family and friends, you can say, maybe you have a group email. A lot of people have group emails with their family or friends, probably separate. Or you might have group text. Well, you can just take this information, put it in there and say, hey, this is my new Zoom account. So when I say, let's get together on Zoom, just go ahead and click on this link.
Donna, excuse me, does join meeting mean that the other participants must have downloaded the app for Zoom?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes. Yeah. If people are on a laptop or desktop, all they have to do is click on the link, because the very first time they click on that link, a little bit of software downloads. But mobile devices, phones, tablets, they do need to go to their App Store or their Google Play Store and download the Zoom app. And this is something for people, the virtual baby shower or any big event you're trying to plan. This is what I was talking about earlier. Plan to, think of who in your family is going to be challenged by this. And if you know, great aunt just got an iPad. So she needs the Zoom app on her iPad. So get in contact with those people in your lives that need a little help. Get them up and going. So this way, when you have that big family event, everyone knows how to get in, or send them here. Send them here. We'll get them going. So this way, when the family event comes, you're not going to be, just consumed by tech problems. So isolate, know who you are going to have trouble with, and get them all in a little group and get everything all sorted out prior to your big event.
Excuse me, you mentioned iPad. Did you also say smartphone users?
Yes, any mobile device, phones, tablets, Kindles, iPads, all mobile devices need to download their app from whatever app store they use. But if you're on a laptop, desktop, Mac, regular, desktop, laptop type platforms, they just have to click on the link. They don't really need to do anything. So those people you don't have to worry about. But like if you think about what type of devices people have, and those people, you might want to get them ready to go prior to any event you're planning, because it's otherwise it's just going to be a nightmare. So the copy meeting invitation, this is the point where you just open up that group email, put the information in, and let them know about it, what you're going to do. Now, when you're thinking about using your personal room, it can be very informal. You could be talking to a friend of yours and saying, whew, you might be on the phone saying, man, I have had a day. We need to get together tonight at 6 on Zoom and we'll talk about it. And that might be all that you have to do, because maybe you meet with this friend every 2-3 days and they already know your link. 6 o'clock comes around, you start the meeting and they come right in. Or maybe it's a text. Depends on how you converse with the people in your lives. So it can be very informal with Zoom. When you're meeting with people, it's just going to be a matter of sending out an email to someone, letting them know the information, giving them the link, or texting them the link real quick, and they come in. So this is,
I have a question of just for individual to individual chats like that. Is there an advantage of using Zoom over something like, FaceTime or Skype or one of the other face-to-face sort of chat things? WhatsApp or something?
Well, yeah, it really depends on what you're doing because you do, when you're, well, actually, if you're meeting one-on-one, you have unlimited time on the free account.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, it's probably your comfort level. If you're comfortable doing Zoom, you could do that one-on-one, or you just stay with FaceTime. If you're more comfortable with FaceTime, you could do that too. Zoom really comes handy when you start meeting with a lot of, several people. Then it becomes very practical.
Also, it's unlimited time if you're doing a one-on-one?
Right. It's unlimited.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I thought that 40 minutes applies to.
No, when you invite that third person, and make sure you like that person because then it's 40 minutes.
Oh.
You better like that third person because they broke up the party.
Oh, okay. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So that's meeting with, family and friends. Just kind of spontaneous, instant. You're just going to, start the meeting and run with it. No schedules, nothing like that. Very informal. Now, when it comes time to start the meeting, right? Now, maybe you did tell maybe in a group email, everyone in the family said, hey, let's play games on Zoom on Saturday night. So, and we're going to use, Carolyn's link. And that may be all you do. Then 7:00 comes on Saturday night. And if you're Carolyn, you're going to go and open up your personal room, start it up, wait for your family and friends to come in. So to start the meeting, well, you can see I have a start meeting button right here because I'm on a laptop. So if you're on a laptop, you could just come in and start it. Another option for laptop, desktop people, you do have a desktop app. On my lower left-hand corner of my screen, I'm going to click on my start button. I'm going to scroll all the way down to Z for Zoom. There's Zoom. I click on this and I get a desktop app, which looks like this. Looks a lot like the iPad app. The only difference is these buttons over here on the top are on the left side for the iPad. But they pretty much look the same. So you could use this too, and you could start the meeting. You could click on New Meeting. Now, you'll notice there's a little arrow here. If you click on it, you have a decision to make here because you're going to use your personal meeting room. So you do have to check. You have to check off, use my personal meeting room. Otherwise, and I know it has happened to some of you, your friends and family are going to be waiting for you in the personal meeting room, and you're going to go and start another meeting if you don't click on this, okay? So that will happen to you. If you're on a phone, you open up your phone app, click on New Meeting. You'll see Use Personal Meeting ID. Hit the slider, turn it on so that you go into your personal room. And then you will have started the personal room and you can wait for people to come in, or if they're already in the waiting room, you can let them in on the waiting room. Questions about that on starting it?
Yes, this is Wilsie. I'm clueless as to figure out if I start a meeting instantly, how does the other person know? How do they get the connection to say, let's go into Wilsie's room? I'm clueless.
Well, you probably have, prior to that, you have probably emailed or texted them a link. You will have already probably had a conversation. Or at least you've had the conversation once. And then maybe it's your girlfriend, your best girlfriend. And you just meet every Monday night or every Friday night, for a couple drinks, talk, and you have a standard date every Friday night, 6:00 you meet. And so the first time that might be a conversation on a phone, you're talking, you go, hey, I just signed up for Zoom. Let's start meeting on Friday nights. Okay. And then once you start doing that, you don't have to talk about it anymore. Friday night comes, you're going to start your session and wait for him or her to come in and you can start chatting.
And they'll
Yeah.
know because they already have a link somewhere or what?
Well,
I
you've
That's
sent
how I
them.
do.
You have sent them the link. You have emailed them. You've either emailed or texted the link to them, or you did a calendar invite and they got the link that way too.
Okay.
If you're a very social person, you start Zooming with everyone around you, you're probably going to want to set yourself up on a little calendar so you can keep track of what night you're Zooming with who.
So
And we're
even
going to talk, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, how
So
to
even
do
if
that.
you don't have the link, if the person just has your personal meeting ID,
They can use
they
that.
could just go on the Zoom and just put in, I mean, if they
Yep.
know what time you're gonna be on there, just go on Zoom and put in the ID, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you're talking about this part where every app has a join a meeting button. You just click on join a meeting and you can just type in the meeting ID
Mhm.
if you don't have a link. My sister does this on her phone. She doesn't do email or anything. So I send her the code and she just goes in that way. It depends on you think of who you're dealing with, what they do. I have another sister that just does email only, nothing on the phone. Specific. They're both very specific on their needs. But when I say meeting ID, it's this number right here. It's this is the ID she's talking about. If you're on a phone, you can just click on join a meeting and just if you have these numbers, you just type right in, hit join, and you're in the meeting.
Donna,
Mhm.
this is Carolyn again.
Hi.
So when you set up your account, you're pretty much gonna, or will you get most of this information? It'll kind of guide you depending on whether you on the free or paid account. It'll kind of guide you to the various processes of the ID and all of that. All of that's going to pretty much just be set up once you have the account.
Yep. The minute you log in, you can go right under meetings and you'll see your personal room. And then you can instantly copy the invite and start sending it to your family or friends. You can say, hey, this is my Zoom account. So we're going to have, family game night on Saturdays now. We'll do it at 6. And, that might be all you ever do. And then everyone gets the link. They have it in their email or they have it in their text. And that's where they're going to go for the link. Each time, some people, some family members are never going to save anything. So some people you might have to resend things to. But that's how you would do it. That would be just an instant meeting that you have.
Now, don't you have to set up the waiting room? You don't have to actually have, because I see that you, under your security, you have the waiting room set up.
Yeah.
But I've done Zoom and I've never had a waiting. Don't you have to set the waiting room up to have one?
It's the default now, as of
It
last
is?
September. Yeah, when we all first started using Zoom way back last March, it didn't have any security. You could have nothing. You could just click on a link and go right into a meeting. But for security reasons, they had to lock that down. So starting in September, if you have meetings that were created prior to September, Zoom automatically put on at least a waiting room on all meetings.
But then when you have the waiting room, don't you have to let the people in?
Yep. You have to let them in.
Because I did a Zoom in December and I didn't have a waiting room and I didn't have to let anybody in. They were just coming on.
Oh, well, you slid by.
Yeah, I kid you not.
Because they were supposed to go back and put it on all the meetings. So maybe some meetings didn't get it. But when you create a new meeting, you have to have it. Yeah.
Huh.
All right. So that's where, we're talking meeting with friends and family, very informal. It's most of the time you're talking, or all of the time, all these agreements on when you're meeting is probably done through text or on a phone or through an email when you're discussing what you're going to do. Are we doing a game night? Let's get together, that type of thing. So this is an informal way of using your personal meeting room. All right. Any other questions? All right. Let's talk about, you are maybe a counselor or a teacher. You have some type of practice online. And you're talking to your clients. Maybe you have a project you're working on with a client, and you say to them, "Hey, I have a diagram I've done, and I would like you to see it. So let's get on Zoom." You're talking to them on the phone, and you say to them, "You know what? I'm going to send you a link. Let's get on Zoom, and I'll show you my plans, what I have." So you get off the phone with your client. You just told them you're going to give them a link from Zoom. But you don't want to give them your personal room. That's, because then they have it, right? You don't want to do that. You don't know this person very well. So the next best thing is to do an instant meeting, but with a randomly generated number. So the way to do that, if you are on a laptop or desktop and if you happen to be in Zoom, right, the way I am right now, logged in, you can go to the upper right-hand corner of the screen where it says host a meeting, and you can just click on with video on or off, doesn't matter. What happens is you open up a Zoom session. It's just you and Zoom. You're just going to be sitting there staring at yourself, but it's going to be a randomly generated number. If you are on a desktop, if you're on the desktop app, if you're on an iPad, any type of mobile device, open up your app, click on new meeting. If you get asked about personal meeting ID, you're not going to check it. You're just going to click on new meeting and go. And that's going to give you a random number. If you're on a phone, same thing. You clicked on new meeting. You don't turn on, click on use meeting ID. You don't do that. You just click on start the meeting. That's it. You just go right in. And then you will be on a randomly generated number. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, because the key is pretend that you're just sitting there, you're in Zoom, you're just staring at yourself, that's it. And you just told them, I'm going to send you a link. So now you need to find the link because you opened up the meeting, but you need to find out the link so you can send it to them. So there's the first way to do it. If you're on a laptop or desktop, go to the upper left-hand corner of your screen, take the mouse, go all the way up to the upper left-hand corner of the screen, click on that shield. You'll see a gold or a green shield. Click on that, and you should see meeting information. If you're on an mobile device, you should see a Zoom button, top middle of your screen, a Zoom button, click on that, and you should see meeting information. That's the first way to find it. Are people finding that?
No, I just have your pictures. Pictures of the class.
Your Zoom is not, your Zoom screen is not showing anymore.
Right, yeah, because you're going to take your mouse and go, if you're on a laptop or desktop, upper left-hand corner of your screen, go all the way up into the corner and click on that shield. There should be a shield there.
Shield.
Or a circle. If you have a circle with an exclamation point, you can click on that too. But you're going to click and you'll get some information. You're going to see the meeting ID. It's for the meeting we're in right now.
Okay.
You'll see copy link. When you click that copy link, now that client you were just talking to, you could either email or text them the information. It depends on how you converse with this client.
Okay.
You could quickly send the link to them. And people finding it in the left-hand corner?
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, now I see now.
Left-hand corner, way up in the corner. Click on there and you'll see a little gray box comes down and you'll see it's going to be this meeting, the meeting ID, the link.
Yep.
Mobile devices, how are you doing? Are you able to find it? Now, there's a second place. If you can't find it, there is a second place to get this information, and you click on your participants button on your toolbar. If you click on participants in the lower left-hand corner, you will see invite of the participants box. That's another place. And that one gives you the option of actually getting not just the link, but the entire invite, which would include the meeting ID. So that would be your second place that you could find that information.
Oh, okay.
And this way you can go ahead, you have your meeting with your client. And after meeting with them for an hour, if you think, ooh, that person's kind of weird, you're going to be happy you didn't give them your personal meeting room, because what happens now, since it's a random meeting, once you end that meeting, it's done. The numbers go away, the link's dead. It's like it never happened. And you have cut your ties. You don't have to worry and think, oh man, this is going to be a nightmare. So that's how you would meet randomly with a stranger. Does that make sense to people?
It sure does.
Yeah. Because especially if you're doing business on the internet, and you don't want to have that lurking in this, the back of your mind. All right. So that was all the instant meetings. These are meetings that we're not, you're not scheduling them because they're just happening, at a certain time ahead of time. Now let's talk about actually scheduling the meeting in Zoom. So I'm going to go back into the account.
Okay.
All righty. Here's the schedule a meeting button. I'm going to click on this. If you're on a mobile device, you have a schedule button.
Mhm.
They all have them. Look on when you open your app, you'll have schedule.
Okay.
It's the same form, by the way. The form on the web versus the apps on the mobile devices. Same form, just that it's a lot smaller screen. All right. So let's say we're going to have a book club. I'm going to do a book club meeting with some friends. Could be game night, could be anything. There's a description here. It's optional. If it's a book club, you might say, hey, we're going to read this certain book, beforehand. When is the meeting going to happen? There's a little calendar. You can click on this little calendar to the right, select the day that the meeting's going to happen. I'm going to leave it for today. And let's say it's going to be tonight, and we're going to do it at, let's say 7 p.m. All righty. The duration, let's say it's going to be 2 hours. Time zone. Make sure you have your right time zone, especially if you're going to be putting things on calendars. You're going to mess yourself up if you have the wrong time zone set in your account. You can make the meeting recurring, and we will do that in a second. I want to show you the rest of the form. We'll come back to the recurring. The registration required. This is for paid accounts. This is for people who are going to pre-register before the meeting. Meeting ID. Oh, now this is your first big decision. Is this generate automatically, or are you going to use your personal meeting ID? So which one is it going to be? You've already seen the personal room. We're going to generate one automatically so you can see what that looks like. Okay, security. Passcode, that's a password. You can put in a password if you want. If you're working with family and friends, though, we're just getting used to Zoom. Hold off on the password. Just do the waiting room until they're comfortable with Zoom, because that's going to cause another level of difficulty for some people getting in. You can add it on down the road for added security on your meetings, but initially, until everyone in your family or friends are up to speed, you might want to hold off on that. But you might volunteer or work for an organization. They might say you have to have passwords. So you could put that here. You have to have at least the waiting room on all your meetings. And then the require authentication to join. This is really only good for paid accounts. Like for instance, if we all worked for Microsoft.com, then if I click this, that would mean only people with the email address so-and-so at Microsoft.com would be able to come into the meeting. If you click on this with a free account, it means everyone joining your meeting has to have a Zoom account and they have to be logged in. So unless you don't want to meet with your friends and family, don't check that one. That's going to be a disaster too.
Yeah, Mary East says that hers doesn't let her unselect the passcode. It is grayed out.
Oh, and it could be if she works with an organization or something. Yeah, that could be possible. There's some settings I can't get to on my account here because we have an admin who takes care of, locks down the account. All right. And then the next step here, we have video and audio. And this has to do with what is going to be the status of video and audio when you enter the meeting. So for the host, you're probably going to have it on because the host is going to have it on at some point.
Yeah.
Participants, it depends on who are you meeting with. Remember that as a host in Zoom, you can shut off people's audio and video, but you can't turn it on. So if you work for, say, a disabled population and you're using Zoom and it's hard to push all these buttons, maybe you want to set this to on so everyone comes in with their video on. That could be an option. Maybe you work with really young kids. Think about who are you Zooming with, and you could do that. Or you leave it off and let the person who comes into the meeting make the decision on whether or not they want the video on. It really depends on what you're doing Zoom with. The audio part, if you have a free account, you don't have those telephone numbers. So you really don't have anything here to choose. If you're on a paid account, you can choose. Maybe you don't want people calling from their cars to listen to you in your seminar. Maybe you want them to be physically on a device watching you. That's your choice. You could say all computer audio only. The only thing to keep in mind, though, if you are doing Zoom with large groups of people, 100, 200 people, at a certain point, there are going to be people who can't, for whatever reason, get the audio working on their laptop or something, and they're going to have to dial in. They might still be watching you on their laptop, but they just can't get the audio going. So, just keep that in mind. And some people, they are running errands and they still want to listen to you. So, keep that in mind when you're setting these settings. Of how
if you choose on the participant video, can you change it during that meeting?
On the participant.
This is from Mary.
The participant will be able to turn on their video. You haven't disabled them. You're not saying that they can't have any video. All you're saying is that when the participant comes into the meeting, it's off. The default is off, and then they will turn it on. Does that answer that question? I hope that answers it. Okay. And then these other meeting options, to be honest with you, if you're just meeting with friends and family, you don't need any of the rest of this form. It really is, all just this part. But just to let you know what they are. Allow participants to join anytime. This will only work on meetings that have a password only, not a waiting room, because this means the participants can join before the host. So it's a little different type of meeting. Mute participants upon entry. If you're a teacher, you probably want to mute people. If you have 100 people coming in, that might help to keep the noise down. Breakout rooms pre-assign. If you have breakout rooms turned on your account, this shows up and you can pre-assign your breakout rooms. Automatically record meeting in the cloud. If you're required to record your sessions and you can't remember to push the record button, you can set it here where the automatically starts recording the minute you start the meeting. And as far as the cloud part, paid accounts get cloud storage for their video files. If you're on a free account, what happens is when you stop recording, it's going to ask you, where do you want to store it? You can store it locally on your C drive, or you could go to Dropbox, iCloud, Google Drive, whatever you use for your cloud. And then they have another selection here where you can approve or block entry for users from specific countries. So if you're on a government account or something like that, that's handy to be able to block certain countries. And then alternative hosts. This only is for paid accounts. I'm scheduling this meeting right now. Zoom assumes I'm going to host this meeting. So if you work for an organization and maybe you have to create all these Zoom meetings for everyone. Well, then you would put down the alternative host would be the email address of the person who's going to actually host the meeting. So that's what that would be for. And once you hit save, then that saves the meeting and it'll be officially in the Zoom system. Questions?
The breakout room, is that for paid accounts?
No, breakout rooms are on free accounts.
Oh,
Yeah, which is nice. Polling, if you do polling, that's licensed. And we do have an advanced Zoom class where we go over breakout rooms and polling and other hosting techniques. All right, let's make this meeting recurring. So I'm going to click on recurring. You can do it daily, weekly, monthly, or no fixed time, which would mean this would act a lot. So this is a randomly generated number. So this would act just like your personal room, except it's a random number. So if you wanted that type of an effect, you could do that. I'm going to make this a weekly book club. You can have it repeat once every week, every other week, every third week, every fourth week, whatever you want to do here. You can pick the day or days of the week that you want to meet. There's an end date. They give you an end date, but you can change this with the just click on the calendar and you can, extend it out as far as you think. I think they let you go out a year. Or maybe you just want to say we're going to meet after 10 times and that's it. We're just going to meet 10 times and that's the end of the meeting. So you have some flexibility on how you want to schedule. Recurring meetings in Zoom, they are good. The link is good for 1 year after the last time you started the meeting. So these meetings could last a real long time. And since this one's going to be randomly generated, if you have a problem with someone that you're dealing with, you think they're abusing a link, you can just delete the meeting and create a different number. All right. I'm going to hit save. This is going to create this meeting. Here's the meeting right here. It's every week. There's going to be 10 occurrences. The new meeting ID, new link, right down here, the link. Meeting ID is up here. And the invite link is right here. To the right, all the way almost to the margin, there's a copy invitation button. Again, I can click the blue button to copy everything and then paste it into an email. Maybe I'm pasting it into text. Or I'm putting it on a calendar. I could possibly be putting it, maybe, we use some type of calendar at your business or wherever you work. You can create the invite, and when it comes time to put the information into the email, you can just come over here, copy the meeting invitation information, and paste it into that invite, and then you can send it out. So as with Zoom does not invite people in their system. You invite. So you are either on the phone talking to a person, you are emailing them, you are texting them, or you're creating invites from a calendar. Those are the way people find out about your meeting. If I go over on the left side of the screen under the menu here to meetings, if I click on meetings, I can find this meeting. It's sitting here now on my upcoming meetings. Here's the book club. There's a start button. There's an edit, a delete. Somehow I set it for 10 p.m. I thought I set it for 7. Oh, well, it's going to be a late book club.
Donna,
at the bottom, go ahead.
When you start the meeting or when the meeting is ready to go for this book club, do you have to start it in here, or can I go, because I'm the host, I can just start it from my email invite?
Yep, you can start it from your email. You can start it here. There's a start button, edit button, delete button, save as template. You can start
there. You can do it in your email.
Yep, you can you can do it to the email. You can just click on the link there. When you're going to open up your app, like let's say you're going to do it from your iPad or your phone, when you open up your app, it should show up. It should come up as a meeting that's coming up. And then all you have to do is hit the start button. So if you know you have a meeting coming, you may just be, if you're on a mobile device, you might open up your app and just start it. Boom. You just click the start button and that will
Donna,
start it.
Donna, those up and coming meetings are only the meetings that you are hosting, not meetings that you are invited to.
Right. Yes. It's what you're hosting. So you will see that. Now, the next step would be, of course, to put it on a calendar. And then, of course, the people that you send the invite to, then they'll be able to put it on their calendar. So you'll see here, they've got Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, Yahoo Calendar. There's a lot of calendars out there. Again, if you use something else, you just create your invite the way you normally create an invite. And then you'll come back over here to Zoom, click on that copy invitation button, copy the information, paste it over to the system that you use. That's all you have to do with that.
What's the, if you're doing the copy invitation, what's the use of adding it to the calendar? What's the benefit, I should say, of adding it to the calendar?
Well, it keeps yourself organized. If you're doing a lot of different Zoom sessions with people and everything, you'll have it on your calendar. You'll get, for instance, if you put it on, say, Google Calendar, I have an Android phone. I have my Google Calendar on my phone. So I get notifications 10 minutes prior to every class I teach. I can see my calendar from the phone. I'll get a ping on my laptop too, that it's coming up. So you do get, alerts that come up. Anything you put in the calendar, you're going to see.
So that's for your benefit, not for the
Yeah, because the thing is, when you send out an invite, they may or may not use calendars. If you're in an organization, if you're working with an organization, everyone uses the calendar. But when you're dealing, especially with family and friends, some people you're lucky to even open the email.
Right.
Let alone put it on a calendar.
So if they do use a Google Calendar, then they would see it too.
Right. Yeah. Then they can do it. So
Okay.
what we'll do, let's go ahead and let's put this on a Google Calendar just so you can see what this looks like. Because so far it's in the system for Zoom, right? It's contained in that system. So this is Google Calendar. We do have a class on Google Calendar if you want to learn more about Google Calendar using it. So I've got my book club here. It's weekly on Wednesdays. The Zoom link is right here. The Zoom link. There's a notification 10 minutes before. You're going to get a little pop-up that says you've got a meeting in 10 minutes. I can add notifications. What if I want to send an email? Maybe I want to send an email a day before, maybe. You could put in whatever notifications you want. In the left-hand corner, the lower left-hand corner, this is the invite. This is the actual email. You can edit this. You can come in here and just say, hi, we're doing our book club. We're going to read this book, blah, 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 blah. You can put in whatever you want. You can take out. This is completely, you can edit it in any way, make it look how you want it. Last step, invite the guest. In the middle of the screen, I click on add guests. It's going to show the names of people in the Gmail. Remember, this is Google Calendar, so it's looking for Gmail. So whatever Gmail account I'm logged into, it's going to have those people, but you can type in other email accounts. You can add them in that are not Gmail. Once you have your list here, you can also set some guest permissions, whether or not you want people to invite others. That's a big one. Or see the guest list. It's up to you. When I click that save button in the middle of the upper top of the screen, when I hit save, it's going to, number one, it's going to put it on my calendar. So I have it. And then number two, it's going to send out an invite to everyone on the list. they're going to get an invite saying, you're invited to the book club. Are you going to attend? Yes, no, maybe. And then they have their option, depending on what type of email address they have, of maybe putting it on a calendar if they use one. So yeah, that's a big if. But the nice thing is it's going to be on your calendar. So you can organize yourself. That's probably the most important part of that. Any questions? I'm going to get these guys out of here because they're going to get an email from me if I don't. All right, I'm going to hit save, and this is going to put it on my calendar.
When you, on that add guest, are you putting, when you actually click on add guest, are you putting the names? I mean, if the person is not, doesn't have a Gmail account, are you putting the email addresses on that?
Yeah,
add?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll just put the email account.
oh,
Unless you have, if you have multiple Gmail accounts, whatever, you could log out of your Gmail, go into another one or, But, and that's only because it's Google Calendar. You could be using another calendar system, which, would probably be much better or more sophisticated. You know what I mean?
oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I've never used Google Calendar, so maybe I should take that class.
Take the class. I mean, you'll then see how to use it. It works really well though. It's very consistent. Down below here's my book club meeting. So now that it's on my calendar, I'm gonna hear about it on my phone. I'm gonna, especially if you have a lot of if you start this big social calendar going, you'll be alerted. You'll know what you have to do. When the time comes for the meeting, all I have to do is I just open this invite up and I just click on the link and start the meeting. That's all you have to do at this point. Because Zoom already knows I'm the host, so I'm going to enter that meeting as the host. So that's all you have to do at that point. Makes it really easy, especially if you get, you start meeting with different people, different evenings or whatever. It's a nice way to keep yourself organized. Any questions on that? So we kind of went through the whole gamut. We started in the beginning, meeting with family and friends, very informal. Maybe you just text or talk to each other and say, hey, let's meet for game night. And then how you start those type of meetings. And then you're going to meet with maybe not a strange person, but a stranger, someone you don't know so well, starting a meeting with them by protecting yourself from using your personal meeting room. And then finally, actually going into Zoom and scheduling the meeting and then putting it out onto a calendar so you can organize yourself a little better.
Excuse me,
Hiroko?
Doc, where does the iCal go? For iCal calendar?
Oh, you would just go to your iCal, create your event, and then come back to Zoom and just copy and paste the information over.
I would say I am under the impression, by no means I'm an expert in this area, but as you emphasize that maybe very informal meeting, etc., is okay, but then I feel somewhat overwhelmed if I were to kind of host about 100 plus certain number of people in a serious formal subject, and having all those stuff, I feel very overwhelmed. My first question is how many days or hours, etc., in advance you can really set all those informations for the relatively semi-formal, if not more formal meetings? Because I won't be able to kind of casually put all those stuff in a spur of the moment, because I feel many of the tasks you have just presented, in my young days, I have secretaries to do all those stuff and make sure who is coming, who is participating, who is not participating. And it appears to be, I may be wrong, but I am under the impression until very end, you open a kind of wait room or something, you just don't know who may be participating, who may not be participating. People are not required to respond to anything, so you just don't know. So you appear, you start your hosting, in my case, that's an uneasy feeling. You just don't know how many people actually are going to participate, come to my, so to speak, Zoom meeting.
Right, yeah. If you're dealing with random people, like you could have people register for your event in advance, but whether or not they show up, you just don't know. And, a big event like that with people you don't know. You just hope they're going to show up, I guess.
You'd probably want to just send out a regular calendar invitation if you had
Oh yeah, definitely.
and they would be able to respond in that way, so you would know who was intending
Right.
to come and not
Yeah.
who.
Yeah,
Donna, one
exactly.
question.
Yeah, you'll
Right.
know who at least responds. And there is, if you have a paid account, they do have they have a higher level where people can pre-register ahead in advance too for Zoom. So if you're doing big events like that, I would go that route. Was there another question, Michael?
Yeah, Donna. So Mary E is asking, like, can you quickly show how to do a meeting with someone without giving them your personal ID? She missed that.
Oh, you know what? We're kind of late on time now to show that. She'd probably want to just get the recording.
Yeah,
And-
that'll also work. You can get the recording by emailing at help@getsetup.io.
Yeah, that would
you
be
can
the best bet.
go over that.
A quick
All right.
question, Donna. Are
Uh-huh.
all of the classes or all of the Zoom meetings does it keep a record of all the past meetings that I may have posted as well as the future also?
Yeah, in there, when you go into your account on that menu on the left side, the very bottom, it says reports. And in the reports there, you can see the names of the people that participated in the meeting. So you can go in and see that.
Any that I had done a month ago, 2 months ago, last year, the listing will be there of anything that I hosted.
Yes, they should keep the roll there. Yeah, it'll be there. All right. Any other questions people have?
Yeah, I do. When I do a Zoom meeting, I'm a foster grandparent, so I would be doing like reading a book to my kids in a classroom.
Yeah.
So I would give my teacher my information and then she could pop on, right, for my meeting. But see, I wasn't sure about that, so I wanted to ask about that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, on that screen, at the bottom of the screen, and I should have asked you then, the very bottom, you said that you can put, I forgot what it was. I think you could put somebody else's name if there were.
Oh, the alternative host. That's for
Alternative
paid accounts for that.
Okay, alternative host. So you put, okay. So if you're not the host, I mean, you're setting it up, but you're not going to be the host.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna have someone else do the hosting. And the thing is, though, if you were to join that meeting, though, like if I assign someone as an alternative host, but then I pop into that meeting, the system immediately makes me host.
Oh, so you're setting it up pretty much for somebody else? Is that what it is?
Yeah, you're putting in their email address, but it's only you have to have same email addresses. You have to be with an organization under the same Zoom account.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's a paid account?
Yeah, paid account. Yeah. All right. Well, oh boy, we are definitely at the end here. I want to thank everyone for attending today. Hopefully this was helpful for you. This class does run a couple times a week, so you can come and retake it if you want to. I wish you luck in your hosting projects that you have coming up.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. There is the advanced Zoom class if you want to take that to learn about breakout rooms and polling. We have a Zoom practice sessions class. That's a new one. It just started last week. If you want to practice sharing out your screen or any little thing, you'll have a nice little, friendly audience to, you can, get the jitters out if you have a presentation coming up and you just want to try a couple things. You can get the jitters out in front of us. That would help you out. And we do have a class on playing games in Zoom that you can check out too. So thank you for coming today and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.